may have Mr. Manually. I've never met anyone quite like her before.
Okay, we'll get started here. Good morning. My name is John Von Paris, and I'm the chairman of the MDTA Finance and Administration Committee. I hereby call the meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee to order at 9 a.m. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and is being live streamed on the MDTA Finance and Administration Committee webpage. All members will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. To minimize background noise during the call, I would ask that everyone on the line please mute your phones except when speaking. I ask that those who are presenting or answering a question to please turn your video and audio on when speaking. When you're done, please turn your video off and put your audio on mute. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. And before we begin with the agenda items, I would like to recognize the passing of MDTA employee David Swan Sharpless III, beloved spouse of MDTA's Chief Financial Officer Deb Sharpless, and loving father of MDTA Police Officer Dave Sharpless. Deb, you and your sons, David and Cameron, and the entire Sharpless family are in our thoughts and prayers. So at this time, I would ask everyone to please pause, please pause for a moment of silence in memory of David Swan Sharpless III. Thank you. Now we will begin with agenda item number 1, the approval of the minutes from August 8th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Member Ardinger also moved for approval.
Thank you, Member Ardinger. Is there a second?
Second, Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The minutes are approved. We will go to agenda item number 2. And see, we have, 1 second. Proposed changes to Code of Maryland Regulations, COMAR 11.07.07.05. And Heather and Bradley are here to present. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm Heather Coberly, Director of EasyPass Operations, and I am here today to seek approval from the MDTA Finance and Administration Committee to present a proposed change to the Code of Maryland Regulations, COMAR, to the full MDTA board for approval. MDTA is required to pay a monthly maintenance fee of approximately 83 cents for each account to our back office vendor. 16% of the more than 2.2 million Maryland EasyPass accounts have not had activity for the past 2 years. To close these accounts would require amending COMAR 11.07.07.05. The proposed change would allow MDTA to terminate the account due to no toll posting or funds added for a minimum of 24 months. If the account is closed due to inactivity, any remaining unencumbered funds greater than $350 will be refunded to the customer. Inactive accounts were not part of our conversation prior to now because we were focused on the transition from the legacy system to our current database system and AET conversion. It was only recently when we were discussing traffic volumes and travel patterns that the topic of inactive accounts came up and how we should define the term inactive, especially in the aftermath of the pandemic when no one was traveling. After discussing with legal, it was agreed upon that a period of 24 months was a sufficient amount of time for someone to use their Easy Pass, whether it was needed for their drive to work or traveling for vacation. Once this time frame was established, a query was run to identify how many accounts would be considered inactive. And this is when we found out how many accounts have not been active for the past 24 months. If this committee approves the regulatory change, it will be presented to the Ford MDTA board at its next scheduled meeting. Thank you for your consideration. And does anybody have any questions?
Okay, thank you for your presentation thus far. Any questions or comments?
Member Ardinger, I did have a question. Will notification be given to any of these individuals prior to termination?
Absolutely. And that was part of our plan. And that's also why we were planning out exactly what needed to be changed. And one of the processes will include notification to the account holder to let them know you haven't done anything. And unless we hear from you, we're going to be terminating your account.
Great, thank you.
I have
Okay.
just a brief question. So how often have we made an account inactive and someone then become active again at a later point?
Never to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I do have a question. Are we looking at other cost-saving measures that are opportunities similar to this in our tolling operation? This is like one of the things that we have evaluated, but are we looking at other potential?
We are.
We are, okay.
We are.
Right. And I guess that will be reported back at some point.
It's an initiative between finance and operations, actually. We're working together to see, because they look at it from a different perspective than we do. And we're meeting and saying, where can we reduce costs and be more efficient in our operation?
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, is there a motion to advance this item to the full board?
So moved, Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll. Is there a second?
Member Ardinger, I'll second.
Thank you, Member Ardinger. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Heather and Bradley, thank you very much for your presentation this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
Bye.
Good job.
Okay, we will move on to, and by the way, that was the last approval item for this meeting, as everyone sees there on the agenda. So we will go to item number 3 is an update, fiscal year 2024 independent auditors, SOC 1 and SOC 2 reports. Chantel and William. Morning.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Chantel Green, Director of Finance here at the Authority. Today, I am joined by the independent auditor, SB & Company. SB & Company is here today to update the committee on the results of the fiscal year 2024 SOC Type 1, SOC 1 Type 2 audit for CAPS and TransCore, and the SOC 2 Type 2 audit for TransCore. As Mr. Seymour, the engagement partner for SB & Company, will elaborate further on during his remarks, I'm happy to report that an unmodified opinion was issued for the SOC 1 and 2 audits. There was one finding related to TransCore SOC 2 audit. This year's audit reflects the lowest number of audit findings in recent years. And with that, I'll turn it on over to, we call him Bill, to discuss the results of the audit. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Chantel. My name is Bill Seymour. I'm the engagement partner with SB and Company, and this represents our communications with governance at the completion of an audit. I've shared my screen. I'm going to walk through our presentation kind of at a high level. Please feel free to stop me with any questions that you may have. As Chantel had mentioned, our audit period was from July 1 of 2023 through June 30 of 2024. This is the third year of performing audits on TransCore and CAPS after the change from Conduit. For TransCore, there is 11 specific control objectives that we looked at for SOC 1 Type 2. And then for CAPS, there were 5 control objectives that were described and asserted. As Chantel had mentioned, we had no findings, and we've issued unmodified, or if you will, clean opinions on those SOC reports. The SOC 2 Type 2 for TransCore, which is the third year that we've done this, same audit period. We had one finding that was related really to the timing of disaster recovery testing. Per their documentation, their controls, they do disaster recovery testing once a year. Their year sometimes falls on a calendar year basis, where we're on a fiscal year basis. And so what happens is sometimes we are in a calendar year versus a fiscal year, which is what occurred here. So if you will, in the scheme of findings, unfortunately, when we do a SOC report, there isn't, if you will, judgment that we get to pass to say, it's not a big deal. We're not going to report that. But if you will, in the scheme of SOC findings, this is about as minor as you can go through and get. And we've also issued a unmodified, or if you will, clean opinion. Just real briefly, when we use it, you hear the word SOC 1, SOC 2, Type 1, Type 2. A SOC 1 audit is really focused on specific internal controls that are identified by the organization itself. So if you will, each audit is somewhat unique to those controls because those are the controls and processes that are described and asserted to by both TransCore and CAPS. Whereas a SOC 2 report really focuses on 5 components that have been identified of security, confidentiality, information privacy, process integrity, and availability. So if you will, when you look at a SOC 2 report, one SOC 2 Type 2 report to a different organization SOC 2 Type 2 report is going to be based upon the same principles and would have the same general areas that would otherwise be tested. When we use the terms Type 1 versus Type 2, when we say Type 1, that's really an assessment of the design of controls. So it's really kind of, you're not doing testing of the actual processes, whereas a Type 2 report not only is a review of the design of the control, but also the operation of that control over the period to be there. The different areas, won't go through these in all details. Like I said, the one area we had an issue was with the disaster recovery, which falls into data and program backup. But you could see all the areas that were otherwise tested. We had no issues that were identified. We had no problems getting information from either TransCore or CAPS in getting through the audit. They were very helpful in providing us the data that we needed to obtain sufficient evidence to be able to complete these audits. And as I mentioned, just the one finding that we have for TransCore related to the disaster recovery test that was there. And I'll stop there and see if there's any questions. Hearing no questions, that is the conclusion of my presentation. I want to thank the members for the opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate your being here today. Overall, it appears to be good news. And my question for MDTA is, how do we What is the process for notifying TransCore of something if there's a finding like this? How do we document that? Just curious of the process.
So if there's a finding, they are well aware of it. They are in communications with the auditor. And so there's back and forth communication with respect to the report as well as responses from the respective vendors that are included in the report. So that's the typical process for, at least for notification purposes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for the presentation. We will move on to the next item. Item number 4, update on the budget comparisons, review of actual versus projected fiscal year 2024 operating budgets spending. Jeffrey Brown, good morning. Jeffrey.
Good morning, members of the board. For the record, my name is Jeffrey Brown, Budget Director for the MDTA, and I'm here to provide an update to the fiscal 2024 operating budget performance. As of June 30th, 2024, we had 95% of the budget was spent compared to a target of 100%. The primary drivers are contractual services, employee overtime, and higher insurance premiums due to market pressures. Object 6, which is utilities, is over budget with 111% spend rate due to electric utilities. Object 13, fixed charges, is over budget at 161%, which is where the higher insurance premiums are located. And all other objects are below or within 25% of the budget, except for Object 11, which is additional equipment, which is at 61%, and Object 10, which is replacement equipment, which is at a 64% spend rate. Moving on into more detail for Object 1 and 2, which is salaries and wages, we are at our targeted spending levels with a 99% spend rate. Communications, which is Object 3, is slightly below budget with a 93% spend rate. Travel, which is Object 4, is below budget with a 75% spend rate, and this has been ongoing. We've not completely recovered from COVID. There's more virtual activity as opposed to travel. Fuel and utilities, Object 6, is over budget with a 111% spend rate, as mentioned above. It's due to electric utilities, which drives its performance at a 115% spend rate. We have fewer employee vacancies, and primarily data center utility costs are the drivers for this variance. Motor vehicle operations and maintenance, which is Object 7, is under budget at an 83% spend rate, primarily due to Object 701, which is vehicle purchases, which is at 99% or 89%. This is really dictated by supply chain issues. It's when the actual deliveries come in, and there's been ongoing delays in receiving vehicles, and any underspend is rolled over into the next year. Vehicle gas and oil is below budget with a 53% spend. This is due to the easing of gas prices as compared to when we set the budget. Vehicle maintenance and repair is above budget with 115% spend rate due to higher maintenance for older vehicles, specifically things like dump trucks. We were expecting some deliveries that didn't come through. That requires higher maintenance to keep these things on the road. All other sub-objects were at or below budget. Contractual services, which is Object 8, is below budget with an 88% spend. The primary variances are advertising at 64% spend. This is due to programs extending into this year, fiscal 2025. So that explains the reduced expenses. Some of those are being rolled over to the next year. Equipment repairs and maintenance is below budget with a 51% spend. This is primarily driven by a significant discount on HB Synergy, which is the server platform for our data centers. Building repairs and maintenance, A12, is below budget at an 82% spend. This is due in part to the contractual services associated with the debris and salvage removal for the Key Bridge. We were being very conservative in our estimates, and we have come in under those estimates. Education and training is below budget with a 52% spend. We expect that this savings, and again, typical as mentioned above, I don't think we completely recovered from COVID. There's a lot more virtual activity and training as compared to before. Management studies is below budget with a 43% spend rate. The budget anticipated A&E contract approvals that have been moved over into fiscal 25, and there's studies associated with that, which obviously did not occur in this year, but should occur in the next fiscal year. The IT-related costs, which is from Object 841,869, are just slightly below budget at 91% spend. And EasyPass Service Center costs, 873, is slightly above budget, but really within target with 101% spend rate. All other contractual services is above budget, which is 132%, and this is driven by the Maryland State Police overhead rate. Supplies and materials, Object 9, is below budget with an 82% spend. It's driven by repairs and maintenance, 905, which is at an 81% spend. We had employee vacancies, which means less available manpower and activity. Plus, there was reduced maintenance once we had the elimination of the toll booths, and there was some conscious effort to reduce costs, anticipating the unknown with regards to the key bridge removal. Salt was below budget due to a mild winter. The next two, uniforms and ammunition, are both supply chain driven. Orders are well out into the future and they come in almost unexpectedly. It's hard to forecast. So as a result, you have some additional spend coming in from prior years. So uniforms is at 106%, while ammunition's at 109%. And transponders is below budget with an 87% spend rate. This is due to the delay in orders and suspension of certain programs like on-the-go programs with Weiss and Giant supermarkets. Replacement equipment, Object 10, is below budget with 64% spend. Drivers 1013, which is replacement maintenance and building equipment, which is at 49% spend, and this is due to the delayed receipt of equipment. Again, this will be rolled over into this current fiscal year. And finally, microcomputers, Object 1033, is below with a 71%. This is due to better pricing on the police tough books that were distributed. Additional equipment, Object 11, is below budget with a 61% spend. This is due to lower anticipated equipment purchases as we were using reimbursable asset forfeiture funds. Finally, fixed objects is Object 13, as mentioned above, is above budget at 161%. This is due to the insurance premiums, Object 1309, which is over budget at 173% spend. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
I have one question related to the utility expense. So is that all volume related, or is that fluctuations in the market? Are we locked in at specific electricity costs amount? And that's why I'm asking if it's volume versus.
I believe, I mean, I can kind of double check. It's mostly volume related. And one thing I didn't mention, there were some catch up in terms of utility bills too, as well, that were delayed over time. So it's a combination of some volume and I think some cleanup as well.
Thank you.
Okay. I do have I don't see any other hands up at this point, but I do have I guess overall there's nothing alarming. Is that accurate? Would that
yes.
be accurate? Okay. And the other thing is just on a question on the rolling stock, the big trucks and everything. A lot of I'm sure we leverage the buying power from the state. I would guess that. And I did expect that number on the maintenance to go up because oftentimes when you buy volume, these trucking operations will get a bumper-to-bumper warranty with it for a certain number of years. And if we go outside of that, I don't know if that's what we have or not, but if we go beyond that, then we're going to be paying for other maintenance that typically we would not be paying for under warranty. And so that's sort of like the price you pay on it, literally and figuratively. But anyway, and then the other question I have is sometimes they have a guaranteed buyback number to the major truck manufacturer. I wonder if we ever have that, if we have that or not. You don't have to answer it now, but I just am curious on that, where they lock in the purchase, the trade-in value. Right. So that's interesting. I'm sure the state's got this all figured out.
I don't know that factually one way or the other. I can certainly follow up and note that.
Okay. All righty. Well, Jeffrey, thank you very much. Are there any other comments from the? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you do. We will move on to the item number 5, budget comparison review of actual versus projected fiscal year 2024 capital budget spending. Jennifer Stump is here for that. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning and thank you. For the record, I am Jennifer Stump, the Assistant Capital Program Manager. Today, I'm presenting the fourth quarter review of the fiscal year 2024 capital budget versus the actual spending as outlined in the fiscal year 2024 to 29 draft CTP. This information will also be presented to the full board on October 23rd. As of June 30th of 2024, 75.3% of the fiscal year 24 $539.6 million budget was spent as compared to the targeted spending level of 100%. Actual spending through the fourth quarter was $406.4 million. 6 of the 83 projects budgeted in fiscal year 24 were within acceptable spending limits of 90 to 110%, which is plus or minus 10% of the target. The variation is decreased from 25% reported for the first, second, and third quarters because all allocations, accruals, and invoices were posted. Attachment A details 10 projects that were budgeted for more than $11 million each in fiscal year 2024. Actual spending through the fourth quarter on those 10 projects was $279.1 million. The 4-year, $1.7 billion project to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge presents significant risks that MDTA is working to mitigate. As this project is 34% of the total fiscal year 25 to 30 MDTA CTP, changes to the schedule and budget would greatly impact the fiscal year 25 to 30 capital spending. Risks include cost overruns due to unforeseen complications, rising material costs, and delays. Possible construction delays, including weather, supply chain issues, and technical issues, could extend the project timeline. Federal funding and support may help mitigate those risks. This will conclude the quarterly update. Please let me know if there's any questions or concerns.
Thank you. Any questions from any of the members?
Jennifer, just one question. When you refer to the risks, you're referring to the financial aspect of the risk. I mean, I know you mentioned a couple other risks, but that's the big one is the financial piece. Is that correct?
No, not necessarily. I don't believe, I mean, it could in the long run, but I mean, at this moment, just more the project timeline could be affected depending on these things. It's still very early in this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We will, I don't see any other hands up, so we will continue on. You're going to present the next item, but thank you for presenting this item. So we will move on to agenda item number 6, the CTP process / additions. You're still up, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you. Today, I am presenting the Consolidated Transportation Program process and additions. This information was also presented to the Capital Committee on October 2nd and will be presented to the full board on October 23rd. Each year, the MDTA releases the CTP, which presents ongoing and new capital projects for a 6-year rolling period. The draft CTP is presented to the board in June of each year for approval, and in the following fall, it is presented to local elected officials and citizens throughout Maryland for review and comment. It is then revised and presented as the final CTP to the board in November for approval to be part of the governor's budget to the Maryland General Assembly in January. The CTP is separated into 3 parts: the construction program major projects, development and evaluation program major projects, and system preservation minor projects. Major capital projects are listed individually, and minor projects are grouped and shown by category of work. The construction program major projects and system preservation minor projects programs include ongoing projects and those scheduled to begin within the 6-year period. Scheduled to begin construction within the 6-year period. The Development Evaluation Program contains those major projects which are being prepared for possible future addition to the construction program. Projects move from the D&E program to the construction program as funds and resources become available based on the merits of the projects. For project selection, MDTA's capital projects originate from a variety of sources. Long-range capital needs includes planned rehabilitation or replacement projects based on life cycle. The expected useful life of a component does not provide an exact rehabilitation or replacement date, but gives an idea of when MDTA should begin planning and budgeting to address it. Inspection findings used in tandem with life cycle estimates to confirm rehabilitation or replacement is necessary as scheduled or expedite a project when it is needed ahead of schedule. Regulatory compliance includes projects for EPA mandated stormwater management and increased capacity needs based on traffic forecast recommendations. Local priority letters and legislative requests that are established each year as Maryland counties and Baltimore City are asked to submit a list of priorities for the state transportation system. Once identified, projects are prioritized based on customer needs for safety and security or increased capacity through improvements or system preservation. Funding availability to budget for identified projects is based on MDTA's 6-year financial forecast, which considers estimates of traffic and revenue, the operating budget and capital budget, debt service payments, the potential need for future bond sales and toll increases, and compliance with financial standards. The fiscal year 25 to 30 final CTP to be presented for approval in November includes 11 new projects, which are detailed in Attachment A. Those projects are replace and rehabilitate FMT electrical switchgear, ICC sign panel replacements, multi-area bridge bearings and joints rehabilitation, highway ramp rehabilitation and paving, FMT administration building easy pass renovation, Chesapeake House water system repairs, on-call facility and building repairs, I-895 southbound spur approach bridge replacement, I-95 southbound bridges over Big and Little Gunpowder, remodel southern AOC at the Bay Bridge, and FMT facility roof replacements. This concludes this update. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Member Artinger.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. In the previous presentation, the envelope repair and switchgear replacement was the one item that had gone over budget. And I see now that proposed it looks like a similar project for a different area with the replacement and rehabilitation. Was that overage specific to that project, or is that something new knowledge that's been incorporated in this latest estimate?
This project for replacing and rehabilitate the FMT electrical switchgear is a completely different one. So it wouldn't be related to the overspending on the other one.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
I mean, just to add, the other one was at BHT, so it was at a different facility.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was the same type of work, since it appears to be both of them are replacing the electrical switchgear. Or am I incorrect on that?
Okay, I apologize. I misunderstood your question. Jim has his hand up. I think he can better answer that.
Hi, good morning, Finance Committee members. Jim Harkness, Chief Engineer for MDTA. Yes, Member Artinger, just wanted to jump in and say that it is the same type of project in that we both tunnels use the switchgear to keep all of the electrical functions of the tunnel in operation. So what we'll be doing is essentially the same thing, getting new switchgear brought in for the Fort McHenry tunnel. And the current project is over at the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel. And as you mentioned, that project overspent its fiscal year budget, but it is not overspending the contract budget.
Okay, great. So thank you.
Yes.
Very good question. Any other comments or anything on this particular item, this agenda item? No? Okay. Jim, thank you for your comments as well. Jennifer, thanks. Appreciate it. And we will move on to next item, number 7, quarterly update on traffic and revenue. Cheryl Lewis-Orr is here. Present. Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Good. How are you? For the record, my name is Cheryl Lewis-Orr. I'm the Director of Revenue. The purpose of this memo is to update the Finance and Administration Committee on quarterly and year-to-date actual and forecasted traffic and revenue performance. Some of the key takeaways are during the first half of the fiscal year 2024, passenger vehicles consistently reached pre-pandemic levels and has matched or exceeded fiscal year 2023 levels during much of the fiscal year. During fiscal year 2024, commercial vehicle traffic continues to outperform traffic trends observed prior to the pandemic and following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Commercial vehicle traffic declined beginning in the fourth quarter. An updated forecast was prepared in June 2024 to reflect the significant decrease in toll revenue on the FSK. The report compares actual traffic and revenue trends to the June. So this report compares actual traffic and revenue trends to that June 2024 updated forecast. EasyPass revenue continued to exceed the forecast due to higher than forecasted daily average traffic for fiscal year 2024. Video toll notices of toll due and central collection unit collections were lower than forecasted, and administrative toll revenue was below forecast, mostly due to lower than anticipated revenue collections associated with civil penalties. All right, so if we move on to the table on page 2, for the year ended June 30th, 2024, our transactions totaled 158.2 million, which was 4.5 million, or a 2.7% decrease compared to June 30th, 2023. And this variation was mainly due to the customer assistance plan in the first half of FY23, which resulted in an influx of payments for video transactions. Collected revenue for the same period was $783 million, which was a $5.5 million or 0.7% increase over last year, and this increase was mainly due to administrative revenue. For the period ended June 30th, 2024, forecasted transactions were forecasted transactions of 160.6 million were below the actual transactions by 2.4 million or 1.5% when compared to updated June 2024 forecast. The $791.7 million forecasted revenue was below, that was actually above actual revenue by 8.8%, $8.8 million or 1.1%. And this variance was due to several factors, including higher than forecasted EasyPass transactions, reduced revenue due to an ICC processing delay, lower than forecasted video toll collections, and lower than forecasted CCU collections, and lower than forecasted administrative revenue. And I think I said before, transactions were below actual forecast. Okay. And that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Any questions? I do have a question about the commercial side of things here. The decline, is that attributed to the trucks maybe going around 695 where we're missing their tolls? We're not getting that toll? Or is this a regional issue, a decline in commercial trucking? Do we know?
I don't believe it's not a major decline for commercial vehicles. They do continue to outperform our traffic trends, but during that last quarter, we had a slight decline due to FSK, but we were sort of ahead during the beginning of the year. We were trending upward to be above, and it's just that last quarter we had the decline. I can look more into that and give a better answer to you.
Okay. And we're all working hard to get our collection rates up.
Oh, absolutely. We have a joint effort between finance, and we actually have a meeting today, a joint effort between finance and operations to take on various components of what we can do to get our collections rate up. And I'm happy to report Heather dropped off. I was going to get her to confirm this, but the last I've heard, operations has worked diligently with MVA and with CCU to get all transactions over to those agencies to be processed. And we should be on a real-time basis with respect to how we're sending the transactions over. And it'll take some time, but that should flow through the system, I would say, within this fiscal year in order to improve our collections rate there.
Thank you. It's such an important item. I think that it would be interesting to see how that's going on some kind of a.
We meet regularly, and tomorrow there'll be a meeting with an update on that particular subject. Now, once we had a load of transactions, once we sent them over to MVA, then MVA had to make a schedule, and CCU make schedules to get it into their system. But again, I would think for the fiscal year 2025, we should be able to get it in there. And I've been informed that we're up to date and we should be processing real time. We will meet tomorrow for another update. There were some system issues that occurred and things like Bruce popped on. He might have some additional.
Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I took a call from the boss while we were talking about that important topic. But yeah, we will be digging into some things in a meeting tomorrow. You know, that's the briefing for me. So finance and operations, and I need to kind of go through that on our next steps with our vendor.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Do you have a question?
Yep. Thank you. Just Cheryl, so I think 1.1% variance and a pretty big, off a big number is really good. It looks like on the timing variances, with the largest one being the ICC, the total is about 3.6 million.
Mm-hmm.
Total variance was 8.8. So it looks like the delta is about 5.2 for on the revenue, which is because if it's a timing difference, we're going to collect it I presume in the next fiscal year.
Yes.
So that's a fair assessment that basically our revenue we missed forecast by 5.2 million.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And the ICC matter is cleared up?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Anyone? Think we're good?
Okay,
Cheryl, thank you.
you're welcome.
And Bruce, thank you.
Sure, we'll dig into more for you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We will move on to item number 8, an update of Human Resources Information System update on the new MDOT Human Resources Information System. Tanya Dorsey is here. Hi, Tanya.
Good
How are you?
morning.
Good morning.
Good, thank you. For the record, Tanya Dorsey, Director of Human Resources and Workforce Development. As noted, I'm here to give an update on our new MDOT HRIS system. On September 18, 2024, I'm pleased to tell you that we went live with the system on time. MDOT implemented this new system, which is based with Infor CloudSuite, which is designed to bring the department's HR functions together in one integrated system. The project team began working on this late last year, October 2023. It was a lot of time and effort that it took to get that program from October 2023 to a go live date of September 2024. The benefits of the new system, which we have named again MDOT HRIS, include an employee space, which allows employees to make real-time changes in the system themselves. That could include name, address, emergency contact information. It allows for managers to have access to information that they need on their employees, such as their PIN number, their titles, gives them org charts in one system, whereas before we had org charts in a separate system. And it allows our HR team to have ready access to information in one place, as opposed to using the old HRIS system and a system that we designed in-house. Again, our team is very excited about this new product because it will allow us to have some data analytics that we weren't privy to in the old system. I will note that we had some outages with the prior system last year. That was one impetus for the move. Also, the vendor had expressed that the other system was sunsetting. So again, there was some urgency to changing from the prior system to the current system. It also allows for integration with some of our current systems, including our learning management system, which is Cornerstone, and our in-house HR Central system, as well as the Workday system that we use for our benefits via Department of Budget and Management. We provided employees with pre-go live training. We are on target now to provide some more targeted training for our employees in the employee space and manager space. We are embarking on a road show of sorts that'll start on the 15th of October, where we'll visit every facility to share what the system does, try to have employees access it so that they become familiar with it. And so we're looking forward to doing that as well. We want to give a special shout out to our partners at the Secretary's Office, again, for spearheading the effort to move us over into this new system. Also, internally, we want to thank our Division of Information Technology and the environment and risk management team. They will also have some functionality in this system that they did not have previously. Special shout out to our MDTA Office of Human Resources and Workforce Development team. This was a heavy lift. Happy to say that Amber Harvey was our project manager. She's the Director of Human Resources and Workforce Development. So do want to give kudos to the team for taking something that typically would have taken much longer than a year, but getting it accomplished and getting it accomplished on time. And so with that, I'll offer to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, I don't see any questions at this point, but I have a quick couple of comments. Congratulations on getting that done so fast. I mean, you probably exceeded the expectations there, installing a new system, but it sounds like it has a lot of capabilities, different capabilities to overall it seems to be user-friendly because others can put data in, right? So it should, in the long run, save time and time's money. And database management is, some of it is self-managing, right? With the employee putting information as it's changed in someone's life or something, or position. So it's a good story, and congratulations to you and everybody else who have been involved in this. I think it's really, it can pay some huge dividends to the authority. So
Thank you very much.
And I can tell you're excited about it.
I really am. This is a huge win for us. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tanya. Thanks for everything you do and your team. Okay, we will move on to the last agenda item.
Member Von Paris. Sorry,
Oops,
I did have a question.
I apologize. I didn't see your hand there.
No worries, sir. I've been married
so
a long
sorry.
time. I'm used to being ignored. That's no problem.
Tanya,
Tanya, thanks for the overview. And just for my clarification, does this system, or can this system tie into the employee journey, sort of a work ramp or learning track, so that the supervisor has an idea of what the employee might be doing from a developmental perspective as well?
So that's part of phase 2.
Okay.
Phase 1 was a lift and shift. So the idea was to lift us out of the old system again, because it was sunsetting by the end of this year. So there was, again, some urgency to get that done. So we had to move the data from where it was to where it is. So part 2 is we're looking at what you're offering up, some sort of a talent management succession planning module. We do have some capability with that in Cornerstone, but again, looking to have an integrated system where you can have all of the information in one place. I did not mention it, but the performance appraisals, performance management, we are able to do that in this current phase. We are rolling that out slowly as a pilot. So that is a piece that is already going to be in this new system in the next year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Member Carroll. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you very much, Tanya. Now we will move on to agenda item and discuss the stay/the buddies program update on the MDTA's employee retention and new hire initiatives. And we have Percy Dangerfield and Daryl Campbell here today.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name's Percy Dangerfield, Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm also joined today by Mr. Daryl Campbell, who's our Special Projects Manager for our Administrative Services Division. Last but not least, but we're gonna end the meeting on a very positive and exciting note. We're here today to talk about the Buddy program and the Stay interview program. Just quick brief overview, and Mr. Campbell will get into the details and update the committee on what we've been doing thus far. The Buddy and Stay program was reported out to the Human Resources Committee approximately a year ago. And essentially, these are two efforts that speak to our retention efforts for MDTA. As Tanya has talked about previously, and her team's been working extremely hard to do everything we can to reduce our vacancy rate. We also employ a partner strategy, which not only deals with reducing our vacancy rates, but also improving our retention efforts. So there's an opportunity with MDTA to do some things that can help with the retention efforts with the organization. Two of those things that we've embarked on is the Buddies program. And essentially the Buddies program is a program which partners seniored individuals or employees who have an extremely positive outlook about the organization. And we intentionally partner them with new employees to help them navigate the new experience and integrate into MDTA and its culture. The Stay program really speaks to what we call the employee life cycle. There are various touch points when an employee enters an organization. Typically, we have interest interviews, and you may be more familiar with exit interviews. There's an opportunity there for us to connect with the employees while they're here, which we call stay interviews. And again, that's just a touch point between the organization and the employee to really understand why they are staying, understanding what we're doing well, what we could do better, and really understand the employee's career path, and then make real-time changes when appropriate to the employee's experience to help improve their engagement and potentially have them stay longer. So it's a data collection tool. So these are the two things that we've embarked on in the past year. Again, this speaks to our retention efforts. I will stop there and let Mr. Campbell update the committee on the specifics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dangerfield. Good day, members of the board. I'm here to provide an update on two important initiatives, as Percy stated, the Buddy Program and the Stay Interview Program. First, the Buddy Program. The Buddy Program is an onboarding initiative aimed at helping new employees acclimate to the MDTA. Each new hire is paired with a seasoned employee or buddy who provides ongoing support and guidance and navigation in their first 4 months. Our first cohort, which ran from March 20th to July 20th, 24, included 6 buddies and 6 new hires as a pilot. Throughout this period, the buddies were given a manual as well as informational sessions to assist and help them facilitate regular meetings with the new employees. We also had a closeout or a midpoint session where we did a check-in to see the status and any updates for improvements and or excellent jobs done. So we held a closeout session on August 7th, showed positive feedback with the new hires and especially the buddies as well. And it showed appreciation for supportive and guidance that they received onboarding the process. Next, stay interviews. The stay interview program is designed to assess employee satisfaction and retention, where we engage employees at various levels to better understand what's working well and where can improvements be made. The program involves an anonymous survey, group discussions, strategy sessions, and we conducted 2 stay interviews, one at our first Department of Administration's training retreat, which took place this time last year, and more recently, another at the Finance and Administration retreat, and we provided a detailed report of the themes, considerations for further discussion, and also some strategies for improvement. And so what we're going to do now, looking ahead in our next steps, we plan to expand the Buddy Program, and currently we're wrapping up to accept new nominations, and we're revising the program materials in preparation for the next cohort. The stay interviews also will be expanded to other units or divisions in 2025. This will allow us to capture insights from across the organization. I believe these programs are vital in supporting employee engagement, onboarding, and retention, and we look forward to continued success. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to address any questions you may have.
And Chairman and Committee, before we close and accept questions, I did want to take a quick opportunity to also acknowledge the hard work and efforts and the attention that other members of the administration team did in making these programs, these pilot programs, successful. And that's Linda Swafkid-Nudis, who's the executive officer, and also Tonette Johnson, who also worked very closely with Mr. Campbell to get these programs off the ground and have them continuing to operate. Thank you. With that, we'll take questions.
Thank you for mentioning that and recognizing others involved. It's very, very nice of you to do that. Percy, are there any questions?
Just one question related to I think the stay interviews are great. I think they're important. Is there a formal process to get back to the people who, relative to the feedback that they provided, either in the aggregate or individually, because then they truly feel heard, and it wasn't just a one-time event. And I know you mentioned it people felt good about it, but I didn't know if there was a formal feedback loop.
Yes. Member Rosen, thank you. That's a great question. So part of the program, particularly with the stay interviews, one of the things we do is once we collect the data, we summarize it. Is what I mentioned the team had been working with. We then share that information with the supervisors, and then the supervisors at that point will work with their individual team members to talk about strategies and things that they can do to improve based upon the information that was collected. So there is a follow-up, and we absolutely agree it's very important. If the employees take the time to give us this information, they need to see some action in the long run. So yes.
Good question. No, I think this is a great program, really. The buddy program helps people get off to the right start, and it's a way of it's first impression type of thing initially, and have them right from the beginning feel part of it. They learn faster, but the retention side of this, one of the big expense for state agencies, businesses, is losing key personnel. You lose the institutional knowledge. It goes on and on and on. But to retain employees and also get an alignment with their path and the organization's path. They may be thinking they're going in one direction, but the organization, they think they should be going in a different direction. So I think it's communication and everything. But anyway, I commend you all for the hard work, working together and at the end of the day, it makes a stronger organization, and also saves a lot of money, because it's very expensive to recruit, train, and again, losing institutional knowledge of a key employee can be very costly. So anyway, thank you for for championing this program, and also for recognizing others, and also for presenting today. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you both very much. Thank you. Okay, well, we have addressed every item on the agenda. So that brings us to adjournment. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I moved. Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there a second?
I'm sorry. Did Bruce, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to remind people to pay attention to the board meeting this month, because it's not only not on it's earlier, and it's not on a Thursday. So just wanted to kind of make sure everybody's tracking their calendars for the 23rd.
Hey, Bruce,
I apologize.
I sent Natalie a message about that. So
thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for, I'm sorry, Bruce, I saw you come on, but I didn't know if you were saying anything. I apologize. Thank you, Member Ardinger. Maybe we're talking about glasses.
But I will second.
Okay.
But I will also second that motion, John.
Okay, good. That's great. There's another several things you've done today in this call, on this meeting. So many things. So thank you all very much. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Wow. Okay. Thank you all very much. Have a great